Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. We're joined right now by Andrew Sorenson with Silencer Central. They got a whole table full of silencers here, man. You guys are making the cool stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff, exactly.
You really are. I mean, and it's like a whole different world. People have discovered silencers over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And honestly, part of it is because you made it easy.
That's the whole idea right there. Yep.
Okay, so first of all, why silencers? Why are they popular? What do people do with them? What makes them cool?
Well, that's kind of how I got here, to be honest with you there, Tom. So hunting is kind of my base in the industry. That's how I got here.
Okay.
Family thing, spending time with brother, dad, uncles. You get the idea, right?
Right.
So anyway, about 10 years ago, I had a hunting accident. I cannot hear out of my left ear anymore.
Oh, wow.
And that's just one thing about guns that, people are aware of and need more awareness out there, probably put it that way.
Right.
But really, it's safety, shooting more comfortably, more accurately, follow-up shots, God forbid, need be. So,
well, and when you take somebody to the range, particularly new shooters, a lot of what they think is recoil is actually muzzle blast and noise, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yep.
And they get nervous, they get scared, they flinch, and all the rest of it. And you give them a suppressor or a silencer or a can or whatever you want to call it, and it just becomes pleasant.
Oh, absolutely.
Is the word I think of.
So one fun thing about this job for me is a husband and wife walks up, and the husband really, maybe he already has a silencer, or maybe he's looking to get into the couples first, right?
Right.
9 times out of 10, the woman's actually the better shot. However, she doesn't enjoy it maybe quite as much because of the recoil and the sound report.
Okay.
So you put a suppressor on the end of her rifle, and she'll 9 times out of 10 outshoot her husband. So
son of a gun.
Yeah. That's
well,
pretty
I'm
common.
not surprised. Mm-hmm. And now a lot of us think of suppressors primarily in terms of handguns, because that's kind of been where we've used them more often, I would think. And it seems to me that the suppressors on hunting rifles is a newer thing.
Yeah, I'd say that, again, this comes down to awareness. They've really been legal forever. Now, some of that stuff has changed over the course of many, many, many years.
Right.
But the NFA basically started in 1934. And it could be very messy, let's put it that way. So what my boss did, Brandon Maddox, is he streamlined the process and made it easy for the general consumer to take possession of a suppressor.
It was intimidating. You think, I'm going to fill out this form, and it going to the federal government, and I have to do fingerprints, and I have to do all this stuff. And if I screw it up, I'm probably going to prison for the rest of my life. You go, okay, that's not really true, but it felt like that. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing, too, is generally people would go into their local gun shop, and they'd have a small knowledge base on the suppressor, and where they would typically start is they'd say, I want you to go talk to a lawyer first, and I want you to generate what's called a trust.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, there's multiple reasons for that, path of succession being one of them.
Right.
Another good example I have is maybe the wife doesn't even get into guns or silencers at all, but what if she hops into your range truck or hunting truck and drives to town?
Oh.
Well, if she's on your trust, she's legal.
Oh, hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. Yeah. And so, and I just got like 4 suppressors from Silencer Central.
Congrats.
Thanks. I mean, all I had to do is wait a year. Now it's nothing like that.
Exactly. Now, NFA law has changed. I should say process has changed slightly.
Right.
So they're going digital, essentially. They call this e-file. And what they tell us is that it's going to be 90 business days waiting at the ATF itself.
And what are you seeing right now in terms of that? Are you seeing...
It's actually pretty wild. It's all over the place.
Sometimes it's better than that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But we focus on we focus on managing expectations.
You don't want to oversell. I get it.
Yep.
But 90 days is kind of a good middle benchmark you can expect, which just, I got to just tell you, I feel cheated. 'Cause I had to wait a year.
All day, every day, I talk to those guys and gals. You're right. And me too, just so we're clear.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let me switch back to, for hunters, why a suppressor for a hunter? That's that's your gig.
Yep, exactly. So the first one for me was that it tightened up my groups as a shooter. Now, this doesn't technically increase your rifle's accuracy.
Okay.
It increases the shooter's accuracy.
I see where you're going.
Due to better trigger mechanics.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shooting more comfortably. God forbid, I practice more often now. I go to the range and shoot more often.
More pleasant to shoot again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually got me into hand loading because I just wanted to perfect my game, but I just got to shooting more and more and more and more, and that was the next step for me.
Oh, so cool.
Yep. Okay. And then the last one, really, we don't like to talk about those, God forbid, misses, but if you did, usually you get another follow-up shot, or...
Because you don't spook them.
Yep. Now, how about I'm hunting with my brother or my dad, and I get the first shot, which usually doesn't work that way, but if it did, my brother or my dad in this scenario would get the next shot at a, at a game animal.
Yeah, and especially if you had more than one.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, you got several animals there. You can actually shoot one, and the rest of the herd doesn't spook and run off, and your buddy who's with you or your dad gets a shot. That makes sense, too.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't weigh, because people look at them and go, wow, that's going to add a lot of weight to my rifle, because they look big. They look like you're putting a big old chunk of steel out there. You might just talk about, you got a whole bunch of them here.
Yeah.
What do these things weigh?
Well, they're made out of titanium, so they're as strong as possible and as light as possible. And then also a little added benefit is that with titanium, you get to use more abrasive solvents to clean the baffles inside the tube.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. We've all kind of finally agreed that for the most part, you do have to clean the thing that sits on the end of your barrel. You clean your gun, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. Yep. So what do you clean them with?
So personally, I already had a sonic cleaner, so I use gun parts cleaning solution, things along those lines. But the cool thing about titanium is it's pretty well never going to break down, so you can use pretty much whatever you want.
So, but a sonic cleaner is a pretty good way to go.
Yeah, it works for me, that's for sure.
Right.
Drop them in there, set the timer, walk away.
Right. Good deal. Okay. Yep. Let's see. What did I get? I got a Banish 30, then I got a Banish 30 Gold.
Yeah. Yep.
What's the difference?
So, brake mount system on the Banish 30 Gold, what that does is leave a muzzle brake at the end of your barrel. So, here's a scenario. A guy doesn't have to buy 3, 4, 10 suppressors if he owns 10 rifles. You don't necessarily have to do that. You might like it so much that you do. However, you can move the silencer from rifle to rifle to rifle. Now, in a direct thread scenario, if you take the suppressor off the end of the barrel, you need to put a flash hider, thread protector, or muzzle brake, whatever you had on there, to protect the exposed threads.
Right.
With the muzzle brake mount system, that muzzle brake just stays at the end of the barrel and just acts as a muzzle brake when the suppressor isn't installed.
Oh, okay. Sweet. All right. Tell you what, hold that thought here. I'm going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back. We'll pick this up, talk a little bit more about silencers, and, no telling where we're going to go with this thing. Excuse me. We talk with Andrew Sorenson from Silencer Central. Also talk about the process. How do you buy a silencer? How does it work? And these guys are making it easy. I'll be right back with more gun talk. All right, I do not get to do this that often, is to double up with Andrew and Andrew. We got Andrew Sorenson from Silencer Central. Now we're actually joined by Andrew Wright from Surefire. How you doing, partner?
I'm doing well, man. Last day of the show. It's going good.
Yeah, no kidding. We're happy with the last day of the show. We're rocking along. Surefire, of course, people know with lights originally, but is picking up this conversation, one of the things we've done a lot in the past is play with suppressors. And we were talking during the break here. It's like you just need to get more people aware of suppressors and what they do and how they benefit you. And frankly, these days, how much easier it is to get them than they has been in the past.
100%. That's been a lot of the conversations we're having here at this show. Being a consumer show, it's awesome to be right in front of the customers and able to explain the benefits of shooting suppressed and the fact that it's not that daunting of a process to go ahead and get one. So. Well,
yeah, you might just explain, how does it work? When somebody says, okay, I want a suppressor from Silencer Central, what do I do?
Yep, so we briefly talked about this, where a guy would go into his local gun store and they'd send him to a lawyer to build a trust, and then they come back here, fill this out, then they go to the sheriff's office and do fingerprints, and they come back and they fill this out, and then they mail that in.
I've done that drill, yes. Yep. It's daunting.
So with us, and I think a lot of these companies have really streamlined the process, obviously, but in a one-stop shop, if you met us here to show, we do your fingerprints real-time right here, your passport-style photo, generate you a premium NFA trust, and then we'd fill out the Form 4 and the back-end Form 4473, just fill in all the blanks, essentially, right?
Right.
Now, there's a new e-file system, which we kind of briefly talked about as well. We do that real-time with the customer over the phone, doing a screen share, where essentially they fill out part of the paper.
So you're making sure they do it right.
Well, and it has to do with some privacy laws, too. So.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
So we do that real-time with the person over the phone, doing a screen share with a laptop or a tablet, something along those lines, cell phone. Then from that time forward, they'll wait 90 business days at the ATF, roughly or less. That's what we quote as try to quote the maximum, put it that way. And with our process, we can actually then mail it to their front door after the approval. So, And then after they take possession, they may add all the co-trustees that they like. That way other friends, family members could legally be in possession of the said silencer.
I got you. Okay. You guys talk for a second, both of you, because you know this drill. Explain to people, you don't have to get the suppressor that's exactly right for the diameter of the bullet you're shooting. You can upsize that and then use it on other rifles or even with pistols, right?
100%, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there definitely could be some industry disagreement there. The most common, at least from what we see, is a new customer wants a suppressor that's going to do it all. But just like tools, just like a crescent wrench, something that does it all does nothing specifically well. So generally speaking, first-time suppressor buyer will buy a 30 caliber, multi-caliber suppressor of some sort, and they'll try to bounce it around all their weapons, and they'll be like, man, this is big and heavy on my 5.56 gun. Man, this is not doing a great job on this gun.
Ed is over just nodding like crazy.
And so, generally speaking, getting the right tool for the right job is what we suggest. So whatever you're shooting most or whatever you want to suppress most is probably getting a mission-specific suppressor for that platform.
Because we all do. We say, well, look, I can't go get a whole bunch of suppressors, so I'm going to get the one that does a lot of stuff. Okay, that's like the entry. That's the gateway drug to get them into it.
Jack of all trades, but master of none.
Yes,
and you can do it, and it works. Especially like for some of the main guns. Like if you shoot a lot of long range, and you got like a bolt gun and a 308 gas gun, and even the 5.56 longer guns, and that'll work just fine for some people. But generally speaking, having the right tool and the right specific suppressor is a better
on a handgun,
plan.
you could use your 45 suppressor on a 9mm.
Sure.
It's just not going to be as quiet. Is that basically what I'm looking at here?
Little efficiency loss. Yep,
yeah, okay. Sure, a little bit. Okay. I know a question. I don't even know if you guys... I've heard the people talk about having a wet suppressor or putting water in the suppressor. What's that about?
Honestly, we kind of just stay away from any of that type of stuff anymore because it's about consistency. So there is some truth to that putting some of that gel in there can absorb some more of the sound. However, if it's not consistent every single time, the amount in the, just inconsistencies whatsoever, then we have loss of accuracy. So I want them accurate more than anything.
But you get a quieter first shot.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the military side, or sometimes, there's specific people that...
Special forces kind of guys, or
Yeah, and so, it's good for the first, couple shots, depending on what you're using. There's bulk gel. You can't just use water. And then there's
we've done that on videos,
Do you guys do that? Do much of that?
I mean, no, not a lot, but we test it with certain suppressors because certain customers want to be able to do that. So it's as other Andrew mentioned, you can do it, but it's definitely not going to be consistent because it burns off pretty quick. So if you're looking to just have it be effective for the first couple shots, then absolutely it's an option, but it's not something that's going to be like sustainable.
Okay, I think we can conjure up a particular application, military or special forces or secret squirrel stuff, where you might one or two shots is all you're going to be looking at, and you want it to be as quiet as it can be.
Exactly.
For me, it's like, no. The other thing I found out, just an aside, when we've done this on the range before, is it can get really messy when you start pouring water in there, and then you got spraying that stuff, and you got black crud all over you as we do it over and over again.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's actually surprisingly, I mean, I shouldn't say this on it, but it's actually surprisingly a good way to clean stuff. I've done a bunch of suppressor testing where I'm taking a big gulp cup and pouring it down a burning hot, open action in suppressor, and then by the end of it, like 1,000 rounds close, in a very short time, you open it up, and everything's like super, super clean, and like it was steam cleaning all of it.
You've been washing it through the whole time.
Yeah.
Brings up a point you might want to discuss is if you shoot, a whole bunch through your suppressor, don't just reach up there and grab it.
Oh, do not do that.
He says.
You'll only do that one time.
Yeah, that's one of
the serial number is already on the silencer. You don't need to burn it into your hand as well.
Ooh, yeah, they get real hot.
It's a cool brand.
What about the cloth covers to go over?
Yeah, I mean, that's a common question, and I've been getting a lot here at the show. Absolutely, it's a good option, especially for precision shooting when you're fighting with mirage, a little bit of heat coming off the suppressor, and you want to have a clearer view of what you're doing. But for more of like a assaulter or, faster cadence of fire training weapon, we don't typically recommend them just because you're going to seal that heat in, and heat's the enemy of a suppressor. The more heat you put in the suppressor, the more you're going to expedite baffle erosion, and so you're shortening the lifespan. Certain people, they want that, and you can do it. Just know what you're doing to the suppressor.
You mentioned baffle erosion. Talk to me about maintenance and lifespan on suppressors.
Boy, anything you would buy these days from a reputable company is going to have a lifetime guarantee with it. That's for sure. And there's multiple ways to clean silencers as well. Now, not to go off on one tangent, but ours are removable baffles. That just makes them a little bit easier to clean in that sonic cleaner, like we said.
And I should point out to people, we got two guys on here from two different companies that make suppressors, and you guys compete in the marketplace, but at the same time, you're both super knowledgeable on the subject. And Andrew, I don't know if it's true, but I kind of look at you as more of the military LE. That's kind of your focus as much as anything. Is that a fair?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we've ended up. The suppressors we started building in the beginning were 100% built for that customer, and that's generally what has driven our product design. So it's like, hey, we want something that does this, and this, and that might not always be the top concerns of a consumer market, you know what I mean? So the everyday person, because there's a lot of different, I've been talking to a lot of people about this, metrics at which suppressors are kind of compared. Most people think sound, right? Like that's the first obvious one. The next obvious one, maybe size and weight, you know what I mean? And then there's a bunch of other things, whether it's impact shift, repeatability, durability, back pressure, flash is a big one for us. And all of those things are important metrics that all kind of affect each other. So
and different things are important to different users. If you're LE, if you're military,
correct,
versus if you're a hunter, you say, I'm going to go out after this big elk, I'm going to put this thing on the end of my 300 Magnum. You're maybe not as focused on the same thing. Is that?
He brings up an excellent point. One cool thing about it, though, from my perspective, is that many of the 3-gun type or hunter type people have a lot of the same, like their goal is going to be the same. I need a lightweight, I need a mobile. Flash suppression is something you guys are awesome at, and that, military contracts, you guys wrote the book on that. But it is fun how a lot of this stuff does correlate back and forth, but the guys that are really looking for very specific stuff, I mean, yeah, you're going to want to do some research and talk to a guy like Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew here.
I will say, I mean, on that note, I did my first big game hunt. People are probably tired, my friends, of me talking about it, because it's been, it's like everyone's annoying about CrossFit and how life-changing it is, right? Like now I'm a hunter, whatever. So I got a big bull, and we did actually 3 hunts in second rifle season in Colorado with 2 of my good friends, over-the-counter tags. And we got, one of them we shot unsuppressed, and the other 2 were suppressed. The first one was unsuppressed, and that herd bolted. They were gone. The second 2, they all just stood around wondering what was going on.
That's what you were just saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was an amazing, awesome, it's such an important tool. And then obviously from our hearing safety perspective, I mean, that's a no-brainer. But it's a very valuable tool.
I just put a big old muzzle brake on a Magnum and blow my ears out.
Lean into it. If you're going to go big.
One cool thing, you just building on this together too, like in an elk hunting scenario, deer hunting, antelope hunting, a lot of times the first guy takes the first shot, and they'll still hear some noise there. The bullet flying through the air, obviously. They'll pick their heads up and look around, and you almost get a nicer follow-up shot if needed. Yep. Another really cool one, I've seen this happen, is in a coyote hunting scenario, where maybe that group of dogs is just a little further past your range than what you're comfortable with, right?
Okay.
So lob a shot right over the top of them. They'll hear the bullet hit behind them and run towards you.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, they won't run away from you is the key. They may run left or right, but a lot of times they'll come right at you.
Well, I would never have thought of that.
Well, what that is, this might be going too much, but the sound off a bullet is like a wake on a boat.
Right.
And so, generally speaking, a supersonic bullet's going to have that crack, and it's going to happen either left or right or past them, depending on where the bullet is and where that wake is hitting them. But it's never, ever apparent where that shot's coming from. So it's very, very tough to dictate, which on the battlefield's a very, very big advantage.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like to explain it as the sound is dispersed.
Yeah.
Because there's still sound there, but you just can't locate where it came from.
And oftentimes it's actually like very polar, the wrong direction of where it was from.
All right, I'm going to kick you out the door here in just a second here. Tell people where they can find out more.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can go to silencercentral.com. Good information there. You can call in, whatever works best for you, okay?
Okay, you make it easy. It really is one-stop shop, and you can do the whole deal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you.
This is fun. I mean, I appreciate you being willing to do the back.
Oh, for sure.
This is great. Good stuff here. Andrew Wright, if you'll just hang around here, we'll do this when we come back. All right? Sounds good?
Yes, sir.
We are on the floor of the NRA's annual meetings here. It's fun. It's kind of getting thin right now, but everything is good.